Voice chat knows. What stock is that again? Welcome to Read the Room with Unc. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the new edition of Read the Room. Just to further the collab with the professor, pivoting Read the Room a little bit here in the future. I know most of you noticed the focus notes I've been dropping, so I'm going to use this time to kind of go over those a little more in depth. So there's more history of the play. I'm also going to use this time maybe to drop a friendly reminder on the EDU stuff or things you should be paying attention to that might help you in your success rate. So welcome, enjoy, and let's get it started here. And we will keep it traditional format here at the start. I have just my top plays that will be in my focused notes this week. If you notice right here, this is pretty much what I've been dropping every Sunday night. Just a set of focus notes. Most of them will be on the hot list, which is what the fire emoji is. A lot of rinse and repeats, or some lottos, some that will take a little more time, some good buy red opportunities. But I try to identify what they are. And again, like I said, I'm going to use this space here to elaborate on those plays more. So the first one will be a continuation. AMRS, leaps are too good to ignore, sub 250 with a lot of range. That was your note last week, this week, and that was the third week in a row, pretty much similar note. This week is 220, 250 channel forming, same setup. We still have the leaps in mind. So if you kind of look at the chart here, last week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see we had 220, 250. So that's the range I'm talking about. We might be tightening up, but still has that 220-ish, maybe 215 feel to it right here at the bottom of this channel. Be mindful that mid candle is $2. Pop over on the flex grid real quick. Volume profile is way down 160s. We're still in the ones on the shorter time frames and up in the fours on the larger time frames. We do have a doji on the week. Been pretty adamant about reversals don't happen until you see it on the weekly. Just like this play in the range from this spot, even if we stay on the daytime frame, it's still offering trades every day with the range back to this 460 level. Hopefully in the near future. If not, it's in the leaps. But these candles are still, that's a 50-cent candle. So, all right, next one we have kind of a repeat BLBX, black box stocks. Some of you guys should be familiar with what this play is, just in general. Excuse me, we'll not go to the flex grid. First, we'll hop up. It was in notes last week about it just being back on the 168 level. Buy red opportunity. Definitely more of a lotto play here. Not much downside, 3 or 4 possible. That was the note last week. The note that we have this week, it's black box stocks. 150 holding well, 165 main level, 3, 4 possible here without much downside. So it's pretty much the same, except for sounds like we have a level forming at the 150. You can't see it. It had a bit of a dip. So we'll zoom in here. I'll get back on the hour chart. Yeah, you can see it's kind of holding more of like this 148, maybe 145, 148, 150 level. Still a little bit of consolidation. Low risk, low reward, since there really isn't a bottom here on this recent IPO. I'll pull up the flex grid. This is the entire history of the chart. Yeah, right here, entire history of the chart. No, excuse me, it's not a recent IPO. I was way wrong on that. It's 2019. But we recently had this pump move action. 168 kind of held the first time. Traded around the 250, $3 level. You can see it on the volume profile, and we're more at the 150, 170 currently. Even on the day chart, it's still up at 4. Just seems like a really good risk reward down here for me. Doesn't take much to move this. This is kind of a low float. More of a lotto play. But an educated lotto play, if you go into our notes, we played this before back here when we I forgot exactly why I played it, But so you can see 329, and if you go to the chart, 329, and pull up the day, it's yeah, 329. Yeah, so right in here is when we caught it last time. I noticed it was consolidating around the third. That was the very first message in the group. Way oversold, recent IPO theme. So really caught it back then. Kind of kept an eye on it till it started to make the move. I didn't get all of this move by any means, but I definitely took a decent percentage out of this. Just looking for it to check back to the maybe even the bottom of the bar here. Again, previous winner, just keeping an eye on it. Next up, bros, another continuation play is ER Aftermath 28 to 33 gap on the chart was a note last week. That's probably going to be the same note this week. I probably should put a clock next to that one. If we hop over to the chart, you can see what I'm looking at here. We got this gap 28 to 33. I'm just looking for it to fill that gap, whether they release a new caramel flavor or someone tips an extra $3. Should not take much to fill this gap. Any kind of positive news. If we look on multiple time frame, we're doing real good on the day and the hourly, and we're starting to turn up on the RSI even on the daily. The weekly got a little inside doji, but it does not look ready to go. Mid candle here, what do we have? 34. So everything just kind of makes sense that we will fill this gap one way or another. Horrible thing about these setups is they usually happen quickly. Just be mindful of that. Downside, I don't think we're going to get back to the 20 low, but there's definitely a bottom forming here around 25. So with that ratio, 25 being the bottom, 27 being the price right now, and 34 being the possible target, just kind of fits the risk reward narrative that we like. Next up is CAN. ADR kind of hit good last week, made it through ER. I was a little hesitant calling this pre-ER, but the note last week was ER upcoming, lots of range, 2 to 5 current channel, but $2.50 to $4 more realistic. That was the note last week, and this week your note is going to be 285 to 360 channel more defined, $3 psych also in play. So we're just a little more definitive, kind of narrowing in on that channel. We'll pull up the hour to kind of show that forming. Yeah, we kind of had a bigger range, I thought, from back to 4 down to here. This week it kind of showed we went from here to here, so we're just tightening up the channel a little bit. It's nice to update that, especially on the weekly. You can just pull the flex grid and catch it down here on the weekly channels too. So yeah, you just had a little more range in the body last week and a little less this week, but still enough playable. Still fits the ADR, kind of Bitcoin related. Will go good if the Chinese government helps out their stocks at all. So I do like this play, and again, we are on the $3 psychological level with minimum downside from here. So here we'll throw this 285. Bam! Look how quick that was. 285 right there, maybe even 280. Again, you should always pick your own spot. Always pick your own spots, and that will help you with your charting in the long run. So to 360, I said, bam, right in here, which is pre-market high. That's the channel I would kind of play right now, with really this 360 being the pivot. All right, next up we have Sen. I believe it's Sen Electric. Sen 10 Rio Electric. Definitely a crap company, but we play the charts. Last note on it was on the 10th, 150 holding well. I was kind of in and out on this. It came up in the scans. What was that, a week or two ago? And I like the setup, but needing, you take 10 bars out of this, kind of needing some more confirmation. The 10th would be right here. I've seen this double doji. Let's talk about that real quick. Or excuse me, seen the doji down with the same bottom of like 150. So this is where I said 150 held well. The next 2 days it kind of didn't respect that. It did dipped it down a little bit. Um, who knows why? I can't tell you why. Wednesday, Thursday didn't like it, but right back up to that 150 level and then continued up even to 185. That's the range I like in this stock, so that's why we're playing it. If we pull up the flex grid, you can kind of see like we are just getting bottomed out. Previous pump. Don't trust those. Don't trust those older levels. Oh, what is going on there? Don't trust these older $8, $9 levels here. Um, but definitely range to $2 back in here. Maybe even get up to the three. But just like it a lot off the 150. So the note that we have for this week on this one's pretty simple. Um, I'm just gonna play this line from the chart, which would be the 150, um, 153, 165. So that's the area we're looking to add in an uptrend. That's where you're going to get your positive stop loss. Um, and if there is a bigger move, you'll get it, and if not, you can get stopped out at 160, 165. So again, I'm looking forward to check back into this range, um, anticipating a little bit of dip, but continuing the trend overall. All right, next up we have Clove. Clove, another one that hit the scans and screeners actually last week. And I'll show you why I brought it up last week. Did not make the overall list, but the professor has been on it for quite some time with the flow read. So those two things are going to keep it on the list. It popped up in mine last week. You go back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is Monday. It basically broke through the 218 to the 256 range. Which is the channel that we had from previous plays. Um, I think we played it outside of the sauce DR. So that it just basically took off and didn't even want to stay in that zone and reestablish this 256 line over this whole week. That's what I really like about the setup now, because now we have some sort of confirmation, kind of getting a higher low here up. So the note this week, since this is not a continuation, is 256 holding well with flow to 3 still intact. So that's what we're looking for here. Probably 260s, mid 260s will probably be your best add, or you just set an alert and wait for the opportunity to buy closer to the support line. If you look on this on Flex Grid, whoa. Big lag. Especially on the weekly, it's definitely tightening up a little bit here. Last 4 weeks, it pretty much has traded across this 250, which is really a really good sign to see on it confirming the level. And plenty of opportunity. The last high here on the day was 350. So like a lot about that. Our volume profiles are still ridiculously high on the larger time frames. All right, next up is DNMR. I gotta say that one slow because I always mix up the N and the M. You can see it has not been in my notes, but the professor's been on it for a while. Did come up in a couple scans, but I'm finally onto it because I like the setup. It's kind of giving me confirmation on these levels, so I do like this a little bit more. Pretty basic here, this $4 level. As you can see, it's got the confirmation after the dip, and 650 is the top end. Probably should pull that back to 6, to be honest with you. Getting a little greedy. The only reason I haven't is because the flow still suggests 7. Overall, just a good setup. These candles provide a lot of range. If you look on the flex grid, you can usually play the pre-market levels very well. This thing will let you know right away if we're going to have a bad day and go down through the pre-market, or if we're going to confirm the level and continue on the day. Usually with plenty of range to get a scalp out of, which is why I'm now on the bandwagon of DNMR. All right, this one's the cult following, EXPR Express, aka Secret Meme. This one comes from our other room when MGM and AMC and all those things were dying, this one would still be a consistent play. Has still been a consistent play. I like it off 315 level. The note this week is 3 or 315 psych to 375 current channel secret meme. Just real easy to play. We do have ER, so we kind of have a catalyst to watch. Be mindful if we do get a dip here, but let me go to a flex grid just so I can kind of show you guys how consistent this thing is. It's pretty darn consistent in delivering off of this a $3 level. The only level I have below it is 230, but that didn't happen since the initial pump. The $3 level is pretty much held the entire time, and this is a weekly chart here. So yeah, just a good spot for secret meme. All right, last week we had forming support here at 3 with enough range for day trades on Fubo. I don't think I'm going to change. Yeah, forming support here on 3. Yeah, it's going to stay the same. We might have to sneak in a little bit here. But yeah, we're again, this is kind of the trading sideways I was talking about after the ER dip. The 287 low, 350 high is an incredible trade. Every other day there for the first week out of ER. And we kind of had a little downtrend here, but holding 3 well. So I'm looking for that to continue. And again, these candles, even on these red candles, you can still get in one day at 315, and then out the next day at 330, which is a decent day trade. Flow still suggests that the whales are interested, and I don't think it gets much cheaper than this. Might have to put a clock next to this one if we don't already have it, just because this might take a little time. But the setup is looking great. Another repeat here, Gevo 3. I gotta get that period out of there. Jesus. 354 line on my chart, higher or low here. Range to 5. 3. I added channel forming to 380. That's what the only thing I added to that note. So you still have the 350 line. I basically took 5 cents off this volume profile, so we kind of have a channel forming here. You can see it. But the reason I did that is because that 30 cents there from 350, 380 is a tradable range for me, 100%. If we go in here on the flex grid, you can kind of see the dip, how it kind of, if it does dip down a little bit into the 50s, not necessarily 250, but into the 50s currently, it checks right back up. Overall, on the day chart, we have a nice harmonics of the trend. We just got through ER. These guys have a lot of future catalysts. They have a deal with Delta. So I do like them in general. Again, reversals don't happen until they happen on the weekly. You can see we have a green doji chart here with the high still being $4. So 350 to kind of 4 is the bigger picture range. I want to see 4 eventually flip. Right now the safe channel will be more 350s to the low 380s. LAC, here's one play that reason I really fell in love with the professor's methodology, how he trades. Geez, I got to go way out of here. This is a lithium play. You can see we've had this current channel for quite some time. The only time we doubted this play, we actually talked about this in voice chat. We put this trend line up and it broke it the next day. Told myself I'm not missing this trade again. So you can see right here, there's 23.73 I have. Very consistent from the first run. 27.51 has kind of been the breakout spot. Maybe 28 even. We're back there. Lithium. Kind of talked about how the prices are not going down. If you look in the room, this is in Professor's notes all the time, along with AA. Another good play. Don't sleep on AA as well. It's also on a good level. But a very simple note here. 23.73 is the line from the chart. 27.51 is top of the channel. Lithium still needed. All right, next up, not new to the list, not new to the room, Lucid. Definitely shouted it out a little bit when it dropped. We played this in the other room back here. There's that glory candle. This is where I got the 17 line from on this dip. Kind of read the news that day. The Saudi Arabian first initial buyers, their shares were at 1550. So when this kind of came up and started squeezing, that was the best time to get in that before the big run to 55. Don't think we get that again, but I do like the 17 to 25 channel, especially since that matches up with volume profile. So you got the 23, excuse me, that's the wrong note. Lucid, you have 1775 to 20 psych is all I'm looking for right now. Kind of just playing this baby gap channel here for the, what is that? That's about 10%. About 10%. So 17, 50, maybe even low 17s if you're good. But overall, the flow suggests that we'll get back up into the 20s with a positive catalyst. Next up is another MVP from the room. Definitely got out of our channel a little bit away from us here, but you still like to see that, you know, for 3 or 4 days it kind of tests that area before you had a lower low. I mean, excuse me, a lower high. Didn't really drop in one day down to this level. So we are going to play this one the other way. Right now we're a fan of Macy's Falling. Do have the ER Catalyst coming up. The note's pretty simple. Favorite ER play. Looking for a flush to 15 or 16. So that's how we're setting this up. We're going to let this go through ER here on the 26th, which I believe is Wednesday. Is that Wednesday? Thursday. And sorry, I looked at the calendar. And we're going to let the stock respond to the ER. We're going to read the report. If the report's decent, probably buying no matter what. If the report's decent, if it dips, might have to dig into the numbers a little bit more. But just like this back to the 20 psychological level at this point in time. All right, next up is Nat. Fourth week in a row, 250, 285, 250, 285 scalp trend. Same note, same place, third week, 235, 259 in my chart. So let's explain that just a little bit. Get into last week. So basically last week, these are the two lines I have. I knew coming into the week that we were going to probably be more of the 250 to the 285 range. And I kind of nailed that, to be honest with you. We just have turned this line into support. These are close enough that it doesn't take much to you know, for this to check down to this other level. But this is what we like to see, especially with the range to 3. So this week we have scalp trend, same note, same play, fourth week. You still have the 335 and 359 from the chart, so the 260 level should be in play this week. I'm definitely looking for this to continue the overall trend, and you can see these big bars here kind of slowly moving upwards. And one of the very, very few charts that you're going to come and pull a weekly, and it's in an uptrend here. This and ASRT are probably two that I know of that I play regularly. That this is what you're looking for currently. 2 solid green weeks. This one might be a little early on, but trust this level. The last good move, I trust this level is 33. So the note will be 33 line from chart with range back to 46. The 45 is in the flow, but be mindful this could dip back down to 30, which that is 10% from 33. So maybe that's more of an add load zone. We did play this off 29.99, so just the floor last time. I don't see it going much below 29, but 30 is possible. But the 45 to 30, if you do the math, that's 50%. Again, previous winner, strong flow read. That's what the note will be this week. So we might be a little early, especially with ER. This might be a better opportunity to wait for this ER on the 9th and play the flush like we have been. But I also think it will provide an opportunity over the next week and a half before we get there 2 weeks before we get there. And again, we're on a previously winning level. And looking in here on the flex grid, you might just get a 2 or 3 day bounce off this level a couple times until ER. That might actually be the play. But even a 33 to 35, 36 is a decent move. If we start dipping below, be mindful that you might have to play back to 33 if the 35 psychological level isn't the stronger resistance at that point in time. And real quick, if you haven't downloaded this ER scanner, I'm going to redrop it tonight. It's a pretty good. This kind of gives you a 2 or 3 day head start on what's coming on the ERs. I had a bigger list before, but you get entirely too many. So I try to keep it smaller so you only you don't get as many. And this will go, I think, 2 days either way. So you got like a 4 day window of ERs inside a certain set of parameters. But so far it has been very good filter, to say the least. All right, now a little bit of EDU. I was gonna just go over the social plays, but I feel like it's better to tell you what I usually see in the social plays that I pick. Unless you're living on the moon, you should know that I usually drop 2 social plays every morning for several reasons. Focus and not to overwhelm. And all you really need is one. So dropping 4 or 5 on you guys doesn't seem like a responsible thing to do. And finding 1 or 2 good ones, maybe not always the best one, but 1 or 2 good ones that have decent range above, 20, 30%. And then sometimes you get a good runner that will go 40, 50%, or 100% if you're lucky. Finding something like that daily, this is what I look for, and it's really not really. I mean, the range does have to be there, but I really look for more for psychological levels and current levels holding. So Friday was red box. If we go out here, I guess we'll start on the flex grid. If you kind of see, overall, it's been standing up on about $3 in general. You can really see it on the weekly. That's the volume profile for it, and on the daily, you can kind of see it as well. We had the one big spike and kind of came right back down to the 253 level, and then had another big spike. So as you come back in, you could see we had this initial bottom. We're kind of cradling up, but what caught my eye is if you take out Friday, because we got to take out Friday here. Let's scoot over here and take out Friday. Bam. What caught my eye here is we kind of have this established bottom right in here with a little uptrend, and then we checked up, and these are identical. If you look at the purple volume profile here, we're pretty much 370, 365, like dead across 3 days. So that means the majority of the shares are traded across the same price for 3 days. If you take that in here, you can kind of see it on a candle. Although this candle doesn't show it because this is the first day it got up to that level, but you have these 2 tight candles. So I basically see a little bit of a leg up and it holding the top of the zone. That's what stuck out to me in the morning time, that this is holding the top of a zone. So when we get to the actual day trade, you wake up in the morning, and we have pre-market high and low lines every morning. And I kind of pointed this out on a couple charts. On this one, you have the pre-market high straddled by the yesterday high straddled by the pre-market high and low. That's an A+ setup for me for continuation. We just normally don't have that in this market. So for me, the $4 level, which was pre-market high, was a huge level. That's what I played, was that break to the 420, or excuse me, to the 440, and then I pulled another 20-cent scalp when we have pulled back to that level. When it held and you can't see it now, but this purple line was holding like 420-ish. As soon as it stayed on top of that line, you had VWAP on top of that line, and the 9 EMA it was on top of everything. That's when I suggested that it probably could get spicy and test the 5 psych. Actually tested 575. Um, just what social plays do. Sure, we'll give it all back Monday morning, but that's basically what I seen in the early hours of the setup. Was it just basically staying in the zone and that zone being above the high of yesterday? So you play the breakout, for the lack of better terms. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the new session. You got anything to add or anything I can do to make it a little better? Let me know, and or any topics, drop them in the chat. I'll see you guys in the RTL Academy. Shout out to Market Monks Picks on YouTube. Follow the streams every morning. Respect the lines, guys, but most importantly, read the room.